How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Thinking Blue with Blake Harris. This is my first episode in about a week and a half. I posted an episode last week, kind of pretty much talking about the off-season additions and subtractions the Dodgers made, and previewing the upcoming season. Tonight's episode is going to be more of a mailbag Q&A. I took to Twitter and asked for you guys to submit questions, so I'll just be answering as many questions as I can. Moving forward, I know I say this, it seems like every year. I think this is the third year that I've been doing this podcast, but usually I end up doing it for about 2 months and then just get busy, things get in the way. Hopefully this is the year I finally can commit to at least 1 or 2 a week. I really enjoy doing these. I love interacting with you guys. So if you guys enjoy the podcast, let me know on Twitter. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a tweet. Let me know you guys are enjoying these, and maybe that'll give me some motivation to do these on a week-to-week basis. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to do more of these as the season goes on. Hopefully 1 a week, but the ultimate goal is to probably do 2 of these a week. So as I mentioned, tonight is going to be strictly a Q&A. I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. But before we get to the Q&A, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up that I now have my own Substack page over at blakeharris.substack.com. For those of you that don't know, I was recently laid off from my previous job at a website that shall not be named, and I decided that I would bet on myself and create a brand new website where you can find all of my daily articles. Subscriptions are $5 a month or $50 for the year. Now, for $5 a month, not only are you getting my daily articles with a subscription, but you're going to get a weekly Q&A mailbag where I answer all of your questions. You'll get bonus episodes of this very podcast. You're going to get access to a Twitter group chat with me and other Dodgers fans where we essentially every day are just talking about the games, talking about the team, talking about everything Dodgers. I'm also going to have monthly Zoom calls with me and other subscribers. So it's essentially just going to be like a Zoom hangout where we talk about the Dodgers, ask each other questions, and essentially just kick it for about an hour or so, however long they go. I'm also going to have bobblehead giveaways. I'm going to have games where I try to set up a group Dodgers event where we get as many subscribers as we can to go to a Dodgers game and essentially just hang out. And if I reach 1,000 subscribers at any point, I am going to personally buy you a ticket to go to a Dodgers game with me. So a whole lot of perks, a whole lot of benefits, a whole lot of behind the scenes access. Again, you can get all that for only $5 a month. This is essentially my full-time job now, so I'm banking on subscribers help allow me to do this on a day-to-day basis because I've loved doing this for the last 3 to 4 years. I don't want to stop. I want to continue to do this. So yeah, your monthly or yearly subscription, not only does that unlock daily articles plus a lot of awesome content, it helps support me and helps me continue to post all this content and allows me to continue to do all the stupid tweets that you've come to love over on my Twitter. So if you guys have any interest in any of that at all, you guys can either shoot me a DM on Twitter, ask me some more questions, or you can go to the link in my bio. You can find all the information over there. That's blakeharris.substack.com. Again, only $5 a month. You get my daily articles plus a whole lot of behind the scenes perks and bonuses and a lot of cool stuff. So again, any questions, it's in the bio, or you guys can shoot me a DM on Twitter. So there's my plug for my own personal website. Again, hope you guys consider subscribing, but let's head over now to the Q&A. Again, this is going to be a mailbag episode where I try to answer as many questions as I can. As of right now, looks like I have about 30 questions. I don't think we're going to be able to get to all 30, so if I don't answer your question, I apologize, but hey, that's one of the perks of becoming a subscriber on my Substack. Every Monday, I answer every single question. So if you have any Dodger questions, you want those answered on a week-to-week basis, you can find those over there. So let's try to get to this week's Q&A. And let's start off with Kevin Polito. And he wants to know, why is Mookie Betts so bad? This has been probably a question I've gotten more than any other question over the course of the last few days and the last week, and I'm sure we're going to have a few more questions surrounding this, so I'm not really concerned with Mookie Betts just yet. I mean, it's been, 2 weeks, I think, since the season started? Not even that, so if this was a 2-week stretch in the middle of July, in the middle of August, nobody would notice. It's just the fact that this is at the beginning of the season, so things are magnified, times 10. He's still playing Gold Glove defense in right field. This is just a really bad stretch for him. I know he's not barreling the ball. I know he's not hitting for power. At this point, he's not really hitting for contact either, because I think he's like 0 for his last 13, 0 for his last 14, hitting like 160 right now. But again, I'm not too concerned with Mookie Betts. If the Dodgers' biggest concern with them being 9-3 is Mookie Betts being their worst hitter, I don't think they're going to be too concerned. So hopefully he turns things around. I think he will. If things are like this, maybe 2 weeks from now, he still hasn't figured things out, then I think I'll get a little more worried. But as of right now, no need to panic for Mookie Betts. He'll be just fine. And again, he's playing, Gold Glove defense out there in right field, which is insanely valuable for the Dodgers moving forward. Harrison just says, just talk about Cody's resurgence. This has been probably the biggest surprise so far throughout the first 2 weeks of the season. I know last season was one of the worst seasons you could have asked for from Cody Bellinger. He was one of the worst hitters in all of Major League Baseball. This spring, he was equally as bad. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but it seemed like he was striking out 3/4 of the time, and he was essentially lost at the plate. He was trying a new stance essentially every at bat, and things just weren't looking good. Then he started the season a little slow, and a lot of people were calling for Cody Bellinger to get benched. A lot of people wanted him to be sent down to AAA, and fast forward 2 weeks, he's currently, you can make the case, the second or third best hitter in this Dodgers lineup. I know currently he has the second best OPS on the team, just under 900. I believe he has 6 games now with at least 2 hits, which is actually the second most in baseball. So Cody Bellinger, again, it's been 2 weeks. I know we just talked about Mookie Betts having a really small 2-week sample. So again, we can't really get too excited with only a 2-week sample with Cody Bellinger, but you gotta like what you've seen from him. And even when he's not getting on base, even when he's not recording hits, his at-bats just look much better. Whenever he gets out, he's making hard contact, or even whenever he strikes out, he's usually working the count and seeing a lot of pitches and, fouling off some good pitches. So I've really liked what I've seen from Cody Bellinger. And again, it's amazing. We're acting as if this is some, bench piece that's having a really good season. This is a guy that won the MVP, 3 seasons ago, so this shouldn't come too much of a surprise, but it certainly is nice seeing Cody Bellinger really begin to figure things out at the plate, especially to start the season. Antoine wants to know, is your podcast on Spotify? Well, if you're listening to this right now, hopefully you're listening on Spotify because, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube. I don't really know where else people listen to podcasts. If there are any other outlets out there, shoot me a DM and let me know so I can get my podcast on every platform imaginable. So we're on Spotify, and again, if you're listening to this podcast, it likely means you're listening on Spotify, but hey, again, maybe there's other ways people listen to podcasts, and again, if that's the case, I will look into getting my podcast on every platform that I can. This next question comes from F. Manfred. They have the full word, but this is a family show, so we're not going to say that. Why did we not sign Shohei Ohtani when he came into the league? Now, I don't have the article up in front of me, but I believe, and again, this might be a little inaccurate. This is just what I'm trying to go based off of what I remember from a few years ago. If I remember correctly, I think the Dodgers met with Shohei Ohtani. I think that they had a lot of players fly in to try and meet with Shohei Ohtani. And again, I might have some of this backwards or some of this might be wrong, but from what I remember reading this LA Times article, I think essentially the Dodgers had a meeting set up with Shohei Ohtani. They flew in guys like Clayton Kershaw, whoever else was on the team at the time, I guess Justin Turner, some other names like that. They planned on having them in the meeting with Shohei. And again, I think what the rumor is that Shohei ended up not even showing up for the Dodgers meeting because he already had decided on the Angels. Again, that might not be 100% true, and apparently it really pissed off Clayton Kershaw, really upset a few other of the players that were in the meeting waiting for Shohei Ohtani to come. So I think the Dodgers had a meeting planned, but ultimately Shohei decided he wanted to sign with the Angels and bailed on the Dodgers and their meeting. Again, not exactly certain how true that report is, or again, just the accuracy behind it, but I think that's what happened. I think the Dodgers had a meeting set up, and Shohei just never showed up, and he decided to become an Angel. Our next question comes from Johnny. Who big Dodger do you see leaving up in free agency over the next couple of years. He mentions Walker Buehler, Cody Bellinger, Julio Urias. Things are going to get pretty interesting over the course of the next couple of years because the Dodgers, they don't have all that much money committed over the next few years. I know they signed Mookie Betts to a big contract. They signed Freddie Freeman to a big contract. But aside from those two guys, they don't have any big-time contracts on their books, so there's going to be a lot of money that's going to open up. I don't think they'll be able to bring back everyone. If I were to guess of those three names you mentioned, I think Cody Bellinger probably has the best chance of leaving, unless in a year or two, whenever he's a free agent, I forget exactly, he's not as pricey as he once was. Walker Buehler's probably going to take a big payday. Julio's probably going to get a big payday as well, but I could see them bringing back both pitchers. If I were to guess on which one, maybe Walker Buehler is the one they opt to keep. I know Julio is represented by Scott Boras. I know the Dodgers don't really have the best history when it comes to dealing with Scott Boras, so if I were to guess, I think Walker Buehler is the most likely to stay of those three, but I still think there's a chance they bring back both Julio and Walker, again, based on whenever they sign contract extensions, or if they just let them get to free agency. Salty LA sports fan asks, how long will this trend of elite prospect development last for, and will Diego or Bobby make it to the show this year? So I'll answer your first question in regards to how long this trend lasts for. And I think it's honestly going to last for however long the Dodgers want to make it last. I mean, they've committed to having some of the best, farm talent, evaluators, scouts, all that kind of stuff over the last few years. And they've had, one of the best farm systems for the past decade. Now, obviously, I don't think they're going to have elite prospects like they do on a year-to-year basis, but we've seen that it's not necessarily just the top guys. They have a plethora of depth on a year-to-year basis, so I don't see any reason why this can't continue for, however long the Dodgers want to commit to continuing this. And in regards to Diego Cartaya and Bobby Miller, I think that there's probably, I'm not going to say a 0% chance, but I'll give the odds of Diego Cartaya coming up this year at 1%. I mean, he's only playing for the Quakes right now. He still has to go through the Loons, the Drillers, and the OKC Dodgers. He doesn't have that much experience under his belt, so I don't think we see him this year. I think Bobby Miller, I'll put the chances at probably 75 to 80% that we see Bobby Miller at some point. Now, it's probably going to be later in the season. I don't think we're going to see him in the next couple of months because, again, he only has about 60, 65 innings of minor league experience under his belt as well. So I think the Dodgers are going to want to be a little cautious with him, continue to build his arm up, continue to give him experience. But I definitely think he'll be on the roster at some point this season. But if I were to guess, I'd say definitely after the All-Star break, maybe towards August or September. But then again, crazier things have happened. If he continues to be an elite prospect, if he continues to show he's worthy of being in the starting rotation, maybe he's, up sooner rather than later, but he's also not on the 40-man roster, so there are going to have to be some other moves to get him up, but I definitely think we'll see him again at some point. This next question comes from D-Bomb. Will Trey sign an extension? If so, what do you think is the ideal contract for him? I was surprised that we didn't really hear any, rumors, any discussions of a Trey Turner extension prior to the season. I mean, there weren't even really any rumblings. There were a lot of players all across baseball that were negotiating contracts, trying to get an extension before the season, but you just didn't hear anything about the Dodgers with Trey Turner, so I have no idea what their interest is in signing him long term. The thing you do have to remember with Trey Turner entering free agency next season is that he's going to be 30 next year, whereas all these top shortstops like, Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor, I believe all of them were either at the age of 27 or right around 27 when they signed their deal, so I don't think Trey Turner is necessarily going to get the years that those other guys got. Maybe he gets a contract along the lines of Trevor Story, maybe a little more. If I were the Dodgers, I'd be comfortable in giving him a contract, maybe 5 years, $150 million. I think that's about what he might get, but then again, who knows what the market's going to look like this offseason. Maybe he gets more years, maybe he gets more money, but if I were to, hand out a contract myself, again, I'd give him something along the lines of 5 years for $150 million. I think the only shortstops getting more than $30 million a year are Tatis, Lindor, Seager, and Correa. I could be wrong on that. Actually, Tatis might not be getting $30 million a year because he signed, for 14 years for like $330. So he might not even be getting $30 million a year. But then again, my math isn't great, so he very well could be. So I think only 2 or 3 shortstops are actually getting $30 million. So I don't think he'll quite get that, but Then again, I'm not someone handing out contracts, so I could be very, very, very wrong. All right, our next question comes from Joey. How much is Max Muncy's injury affecting him, and when do we shut him down? So a lot of people, have been criticizing Mookie Betts for getting off to a really slow start, but Max Muncy quietly has actually been the worst hitter on the Dodgers this year. He has 1 home run. Last I checked, he was hitting below 150. OPS is pretty bad as well. I know he had the off-season, rehab with his elbow. The fact that he's even playing is remarkable because I personally thought he was going to miss a good chunk of the season. So I'm not really too concerned. I do think his injury is having some sort of effect on him because he definitely doesn't look like the same hitter he's looked like in years past. He's still drawing walks, so he still has really good plate discipline. Again, maybe this is just a really slow start like with Mookie Betts. Maybe he'll turn things around. But yeah, I am more concerned with Max Muncy than I am with Mookie Betts so far. This next question comes from Guzman Duenas. Hopefully I said that right. What Dodger prospect makes the big leagues first this year? I'm going to go with probably, in regards to this question, I'm going to go with guys that haven't made their debut yet. Obviously, there might be guys like Zach McKinstry, Andre Jackson that might see this show at some point. I'm going to go with Ryan Pepiot, who is currently, I guess depending on where you look, LA's number 2 pitching prospect in their farm system. I think he's probably going to be the top prospect that reaches the big leagues at some point this season. My guess is maybe sometime in May or June if the Dodgers have problems with their starting rotation. Obviously, Andrew Heaney just got injured, so it looks like Tyler Anderson is going to slide into his spot for the meantime. But if something else were to happen to one of the 5 guys, I do think Andre Jackson is the next man up. But I think after Andre Jackson, we'll likely see Ryan Pepiot again. We might not see him until past the All-Star break or later in the season. But if I were to guess, I think Ryan Pepiot is probably the first well-known prospect that we see make their major league debut. Mookie for MVP wants to know how far do I think the Dodgers are going to make it this season? I got them going all the way, baby. I got them winning the World Series. Now, obviously, a lot can happen. There are a lot of great teams this year across Major League Baseball, but I still think last season the Dodgers were the best team in all of baseball. I think injuries slowed them down. I think them having to finish a 162-game season where they were fighting for the division every day, then having a hard-fought 5-game series against the Giants, I do think that took a toll on them, whereas the Braves, they didn't necessarily have the toll that the Dodgers did. So I think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. It's World Series or bust for them, so I got them winning the World Series, but we'll see if that becomes a cold take exposed later at the end of the year. Matt Byer wants to know, will the Catman ever wear his socks up again? He actually has 2 questions, so I'll answer that one first. Yeah, I noticed Tony Gonsolin hasn't been rocking the high socks like he used to do in games in years past. Personally, I'm a fan of that. I absolutely love it when players rock the high socks. I just think it looks old school. I think it looks really cool. I mean, the way he's been pitching this season, maybe he's not going to go back to it. Maybe he's going to stick to the look, but hopefully he reverts back to them at some point. And who would you rather have at closer, Daniel Hudson or Craig Kimbrell? Well, Matt, I would personally rather have Kenley Jansen at closer, but unfortunately that ship has sailed. I'd rather have Craig Kimbrell. I mean, this is a guy that's been the best closer in baseball over the course of the past decade. The Dodgers traded A.J. Pollock in order to bring in Craig Kimbrell to be their closer, but the good thing is, if something were to happen to Craig Kimbrell, whether he gets injured, whether he really struggles for a couple of weeks, the Dodgers do have options in the 9th inning. Aside from Blake Treinen and Daniel Hudson, this is a guy that closed out the World Series, so he has pretty good experience when it comes to being the closer. But as of right now, you got to go with Craig Kimbrell. Again, assuming there are no injuries or anything like that, he's a pretty good option to have in the 9th inning, considering he's likely going to be a Hall of Famer at this rate. So Craig Kimbrell, I got him as the closer, but again, the Dodgers have a lot of good options moving forward. Our next question comes in from Zachary. With Andrew Heaney going to the IL for a bit, who is going to take his spot in the rotation for the next series? Now, I believe following today's game, I think Dave Roberts said it's officially Tyler Anderson who's going to go sometime this week. I had to double check that. So it looks like essentially until Andrew Heaney comes back, based on what Dave Roberts said following the game, it sounds like Andrew Heaney, the injury isn't too significant. It sounds like it's essentially going to be one start that he misses, but I wouldn't be shocked if he misses 2 starts. So I think essentially until Andrew Heaney is healthy enough to return, I think we're going to be seeing Tyler Anderson in the starting rotation. Maybe they call up Andre Jackson and kind of piggyback him with Tyler Anderson, because I know Anderson, I don't think he's fully built up yet. I know he's gone 4 innings this year. Maybe he's able to go 5, maybe he's able to go 6, but I think he's probably going to be the go-to guy in the starting rotation until Andrew Heaney, the best starting pitcher in the Dodgers rotation currently, which is unbelievable to think of considering everyone was ready to write this guy off after his awful spring training. Who would have thought we'd be really upset to see Andrew Heaney hit the IL? I mean, he's been remarkable this year, but so is Tyler Anderson. So the Dodgers, luckily for now, have a pretty good option to fill his role, and we're just going to wait and see how they maneuver this over the course of the next couple weeks. But I see we're at about the 25-minute mark right now as I'm recording this. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap things up. Again, I'm sorry if I couldn't get to all your guys' questions. I think I only got to maybe half of them. So again, maybe I'll do another podcast in the coming days where I'm able to answer more of your guys' questions. Again, if you guys have any Dodgers questions you want me to answer, once a week, I have a mailbag on my Substack page where I answer every question. I know this one, like I mentioned, I got about 30 questions, only answered half of them. Every week on my mailbag, I answer every question. Whether you have 1 question, 2 questions, or even 3 questions, I answer all of them. So if you guys would like to get that benefit, you guys can go to my Substack at blakeharris.substack.com. Again, you can find the link to that in the bio of my Twitter page. Again, for $5 a month, you guys get access to my daily articles. You get a bonus podcast. You guys get the weekly mailbag. Access to the Twitter group chat, which a lot of people have been enjoying so far. Currently, a lot of people still don't know about it. I mean, I have, over 150 subscribers so far that are paying for the monthly subscription, and we only have about 40 to 50 people in the Twitter group chat. So if you're currently a paid subscriber and you want to be added to the Twitter group chat, shoot me a DM on Twitter. But it's a lot of fun every day. Me and those guys are talking about the Dodgers, talking about things during the game, talking about things after the game. So if you'd like to talk Dodgers with me and other Dodgers fans, it's a fun way to interact, meet new people. And like I mentioned, another perk we're going to have is hopefully at some point during this season, we're going to have a meet and greet where we all go to a Dodgers game, whether that's sitting somewhere in the stands or we just sit in the outfield, we crush beers all night and just have a good time. So again, if you guys want to support me, help me do this on a day-to-day basis, because like I mentioned, this is turning into my full-time job for, again, as little as $5 a month. Essentially, if you're buying a coffee every week, you're essentially spending less on a subscription as opposed to a coffee or a double-double combo at a In-N-Out. Again, it goes a long way. I know $5 might not seem like a lot, but if we get a couple hundred people to donate $5 a month, that's going to allow me to do this on a day-to-day basis. I really appreciate everyone out there that's already subscribed. I appreciate everyone that's listening to my podcast. I appreciate you if you follow me on Twitter. All the support that I get on a day-to-day basis, all the mentions I get, all the personal messages I get, all the emails I get, I really from the bottom of my heart appreciate all your guys' support. So again, if you want to help support me, again, read all my articles. You guys can go find that at blakeharris.substack.com, or you can shoot me a DM on Twitter if you have any questions and if you want more information. Also, before I go, a lot of you guys might not know this. I've tweeted this a few times, but in case you missed it, you guys can catch me on ESPN LA Radio every Thursday at 5:40 p.m. Pacific Time on the Sedano Kap Show. I'm their official Dodgers insider, so if you live in the LA area, or if you don't, you can still, follow along. You guys can still listen on the website. You guys can find me there every Thursday, again, 5:40 p.m. on the Sedano Kap Show. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, I'm able to do more podcasts in the future. Like I said, I want to try and do 1 or 2 per week, but I know it's a busy schedule. I know I got a lot going on. But yeah, once again, guys, I really appreciate all of your support. All the information for my Substack is in my bio, or again, you guys can shoot me a message. Hopefully, I do a podcast in the coming days. If not, I'll see you in my next episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting. This has been Blake Harris, and I'll see you guys in my next episode.